This is me, running the 31st edition of the Pyongyang International Marathon, cheered on by 50,000 North Koreans in Kim Il-sung Stadium. 50,000 people witnessing the first foreigners in Pyongyang since the border closed in January 2020 due to COVID.
안녕하십니까? 잘 지내요? 네?
North Korea probably needs no introduction. It's a brutal dictatorship ruled by the Kim family since the Korean War split the peninsula in two. The war never officially ended, just a truce, leaving both Koreas technically still at war. Many North Koreans have fled or tried to flee the regime, often at great personal risk, not just for themselves, but their families too. And in recent years, the outside world has seen almost nothing from inside the country.
똑같아요.
I first visited North Korea in 2018 for the New Year's Eve tour, just before the border shut. But this time feels different. Since 2017, I've lived in South Korea. I married a Korean woman, fell in love with the culture, history and food, and started making videos about it. I've interviewed North Korean escapees. I even became an honorary citizen of Seoul. So, was I nervous to return? Absolutely. Would I even be granted a North Korean visa? That was the big question. But after all these years, Korea has truly become my home. And understanding its story, its people, its pain, doesn't stop at the DMZ. What will be different this time? Will they let me speak to locals? Will anything feel the same? Join me on this journey.
Hey guys, so 6 years ago, I went to North Korea together with my dad on the New Year's Eve tour to Pyongyang and other places. Then shortly after that, they closed the border because of Corona. A few weeks ago, they opened the border again suddenly for Razan. They let a few tourists inside and then only to close the border again after a few days. But they also organized the Pyongyang International Marathon and they didn't cancel it. So I signed up and I will run not the full marathon, only the 10K, but I will go to Pyongyang tomorrow. The first time so many international foreigners are allowed back in to Pyongyang. And to be honest, I'm actually a little bit nervous because I live in South Korea. I am married to a South Korean. I'm a YouTuber, travel YouTuber in South Korea. Recently I received the Honorary Citizenship of Seoul. I don't know if this means anything for this trip. I hope not. I do speak some Korean. Gotta try to use that North Korean accent, that North Korean dialect.
학생들한테
네.
돈을 안 받아요.
네.
다 무료로 공부시켜요.
그래요?
예.
부럽습니다. 부럽습니다.
I'm now at the Novotel in Beijing, and in an hour we have the pre-briefing, and they will tell us all the rules of what to do and especially of what not to do. If I'm on the list, if I'm blacklisted, if there's anything they don't like about me, they probably won't give it. But yeah, fingers crossed, and hopefully we can do the marathon in a few days. Let's do this.
At the debriefing, Koryo Tours walked us through the rules. No religious materials, no pornography, no Kim Jong-un memes, no photos of the military, all of that. But what I was really curious about was this.
I just heard the news that the South Korean president was impeached. Yeah. So how much can we talk about that particular incident?
They definitely know that these things are going on in the south, but if it pops up, you can talk about it.
Okay. Yeah.
Please follow the photography rules. Only beautiful, please.
Right guys, the moment of truth. Will I get my North Korean visa or not? I have to pick up my passport downstairs. Let's go.
가지마.
Maybe you're the reason I don't get it.
가지마. Don't go.
Bye bye. Guys, we got the visa. It's actually crazy to have a real North Korean visa in my passport. The last time we received a paper book when we traveled by train into North Korea, and we couldn't keep it. And now I have a real North Korean visa sticker in my passport. I got it.
You got it?
Yeah? You want to see it?
Yeah.
Democratic People's Republic of Korea, a visa. Pyongyang.
국경 통과 지점 평양 신의주 두만강. 밝은 날짜가 아니라 날짜야. 봐봐. 밝은 날짜.
날짜.
Maybe it's like North Korean way.
지읍 한 지읍.
한지읍. Oh, it's a bit scary too.
그치?
Oh.
Koryo Tours went to the embassy
with all the passports.
Like North Korea and embassy in Beijing?
Yeah.
Ah.
And then they got the visas.
So yeah, of course
And then
you
here
have
we
to get
pick
the
it up.
visa. Suddenly
Pyongyang Marathon.
I feel nervous.
I know you feel
Yeah,
nervous.
no,
I feel less nervous now.
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
Like, oh shit, he's really going.
I'm going for real.
Right guys, we're at the airport now. Time to find the desk of Koryo Air. Super weird, like it's quite curious how the desk looks like. First time for everything. Soon we'll be flying with Koryo Air to Pyongyang. 혹시 기가 끄니까
I can't speak Korean.
Oh, you're not Korean? Okay.
I was shocked to see South Korea's Korean Air check-in desk right in front of North Korea's Air Koryo. Even crazier, both flights were departing from gates right next to each other.
This is like super weird, guys. I'm now at the gate and my wife is here too. She's going to South Korea and I'm going to North Korea. I didn't know I would meet her again because we said bye earlier before we checked in our luggage.
The gate is like right
Yeah, and then behind me are so many like North Koreans waiting to board. And they're all sitting here next to South Koreans. This is a bit unreal, right? Yeah.
We wish you a pleasant journey.
Oh,
Thank you.
you recognize them, see it a little bit. I think they also carry it.
Not as tourists, but as part of the official amateur marathon delegation, we were ready to board. The flight attendants told us not to film inside. Many still did, and many were asked to delete their photos and videos.
I'm usually not fascinated from airplanes, but this is literally once in a lifetime.
I get that. As a pilot, yeah. 안녕하십니까? Turn up. Yeah.
They handed out old English newspapers, but I asked for a recent Korean one. Why? Because I wanted to see if they reported on the removal of South Korea's President Yoon, just one day after it happened. Guess what? They did. A small article tucked away. The thing with North Korea while living in the south, everything is 신기해, 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 which means fascinating, like the airplane food and of course the famous Air Koryo burger. Did it live up to its reputation?
Do you like it?
I would give this like an 8 out of 10 airplane food.
8 out of 10 for airplane food. Coming from a pilot, 7.5.
You like it? Not bad, huh?
How's it? Good?
Excellent.
She approves.
Come on
Andy
this flight
approves.
just for the burger.
Austria approves. Oh yeah. That is smooth. Oh.
Never mind.
Never mind.
Alright guys, we made it. We're in Pyongyang. That was our flight. And here we are. They were quite strict in the airplane. Every time they caught someone filming something, they had to delete the footage. And now we have to go for immigration. 안녕하십니까?
And just like that, we are in Pyongyang. A long journey that could have taken just a few hours from my home in Seoul. If only. To my surprise, filming was allowed at the airport. So I tried to capture my first interaction in the cafe.
얼마입니까?
용돈 산다란.
무슨 과자 좋아합니까? 추천해 주세요. 이거요? 예. 이거 2개. 네. Alright guys, here we go.
On the bus, I couldn't help but stare out the window, reading and now better understanding the propaganda slogans everywhere. But also noticing the shops, the details. I could already spot some new developments here and there. New apartments, for example. Before taking us to the hotel, they brought us to the stadium where we'd start the marathon the next day. And then it hit me. Our guide was the same one from Michael Palin's documentary.
Criticizing our leaders is like criticizing ourselves.
I just remembered, we met before. In Sariwon.
In Sariwon?
Yes, at the Songyungwon. You talked about Michael Palin in 2018. You were not my tour group, but
in the tower, I think, Juche Tower.
Yeah, I remember.
I was the
remember
vault
you.
guy,
I
but
remember
I
you.
was
Yeah,
I was there.
think it was the Zhijiang.
Yeah, you were the tour different group.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
So we met. I
yes.
suddenly remember.
It's really bangawoyo to have her as our guide now. But I had a mission to better understand North Korean culture whenever I could and how it compares to life in the South. So I asked our guide about ancestral rituals.
But I have a question. So Young, she said about yesterday the pray to the ancestors. How did you call that? Myung,
청명?
Chongmyeong.
Yeah.
So you go to the ancestors.
I mean the relatives.
Yeah.
I mean grandpa or parents who passed away in less than 3 years.
Yeah.
And go to 청명.
And then you prepare food.
Yeah, preparing some foods and some wines, such like. Yeah.
Also soju.
Soju, yeah.
Soju.
Yeah, Korean style.
Okay.
Soju.
And what kind of food do you prepare?
Tok. You know?
Tok? Yeah,
It
tok.
was made with boiled rice, and inside there are some pancakes.
Uh-huh.
And I mean the
But but red bean.
yeah, red bean. You know the chicken,
Uh-huh.
which was boiled,
Your ancestors, are they in the mountains?
not mountain.
That mountain? Do they have like a little tomb? Oh.
We don't do, but it's a kind of place. Only the small. It's in the pot.
Uh-huh.
You know. After burning,
Oh.
they put some of them.
Ah, like cremation.
Yeah, cremation.
Do you believe in pungsujiri? Pungsu, like feng shui, Chinese word feng shui.
No, I don't believe.
Ah,
it.
like a belief?
I
Not
don't
believe, but like mountain, water.
No, I
No,
don't.
no.
Feng shui,
Feng shui, yeah.
We don't believe.
Ah, so different. Okay.
Pungsujiri, Korea's version of Feng Shui, is still very much alive in the South, but apparently not in North Korea anymore. I usually spot small tombs tucked away in the mountains down south, but on this trip I didn't see any. I guess cremation is more common here now. Anyway, hard to believe this is just the beginning of the journey. There's so much more to come, and way more interaction with North Korean locals. Our base, the Sosan Hotel in the sports village, because don't forget, we're real athletes.
Of course, Jonah, you're crazy enough to try this, right?
Yeah, I tried it before
Yeah.
in Vietnam.
Look at this. It's crazy. It's 60%.
Oh.
Dude, you're gonna sleep through the marathon tomorrow if you drink this.
Maybe we can have a shot.
After the marathon, let's try this stuff.
No.
Before the marathon.
Oh yeah, because we are running like 42 kilometers, right?
Yeah. We're athletes, born athletes. All right, guys. So we are in Sosan Hotel. Sosan West Mountain Hotel. It's crazy to be back in Pyongyang. I just met the same guide that I had in 2018, 2019. She's still here. It was really bangawo to see her again. From what I remember from Pyongyang, so many things have changed. A lot of new buildings. It looks a lot cleaner. You can see there has been a lot of development. But that's just the first day, first impression. And tomorrow, second day, we'll start the marathon. Got the jersey, got the number, 10K with I think 200 other foreigners from all over the world. Let's see how much we can talk with the North Koreans, which, by the way, we're not allowed to say. We have to say ROK, Republic of Korea, and DPRK. Also, my first souvenir, DPRK face masks.